Alan, also you'll want to look at me, not directly at the camera.
Right, okay. It's a lottery. The people who win are given life. And the people like me were handed death. They have it in their hands to give. They're refusing to give me life.
Alan Phillips of Ontario was first put on opioids 20 years ago after an accident at work that injured his back. In 2014, Alan suffered a motorcycle accident. However, when he went to emergency at Niagara Health System, they told him there were no broken bones. But Alan knew something was wrong because after that accident, his pain got exponentially worse. So he decided to pay for a bone scan at a private clinic.
When I had my accident, they did x-rays and ultrasounds and said, "Oh, you're fine, nothing wrong, go home." It just couldn't be that I was in so much pain and there was nothing wrong. So I went and got a bone scan. The gentleman doing the bone scan, he said to me, "Mr. Phillips, I've been doing this a long time and I've seen motorcycle accidents and the results of them, and that's what this is." I said, "Yes, I know, that's why I'm here." But the imaging department said there was nothing broken. And he kind of made this face. It was sort of like, "Yeah, I know, they're bad." And he said, "You have a broken clavicle, you have a broken wrist, and you have 2 broken ribs." The fact is, my spine was made much worse. And ever since the motorcycle accident, I can't get through a single day without this popping out.
The government-run healthcare system failed to identify something as basic as Alan's broken bones. Their solution was to send him home with more opioids. Alan believes he needs a fusion surgery to finally end his spinal pain. But the healthcare system has been unresponsive and has only offered him more drugs for years. No real treatment or solution.
There's something going on in our health system where certain people can get these certain healthcare needs met. And other people, for some reason, they just feed them opioids till they die. And have you ever met anybody who's been on opioids for 20 years? Me. These things kill. They're in the news all the time. That's all they do is kill. And the longer you're on them, so I move, I feel a pop in my spine, then I get the pain. It's simple. Stop the pop, and you'll stop the pain. If you fuse the disc and the vertebrae together, it can't pop out. So it can't jam into the root of the nerve. That's fusion.
What Alan is experiencing is the result of our government monopoly on healthcare. Rationed healthcare. Because the government is inefficient at running things, there isn't enough to go around. So some people get what they need and others don't.
It's a lottery, and the people who win are given life. And the people like me were handed death. They have it in their hands to give. They're refusing to give me life. But other people they give it to. It's like a lottery. Oh, you die. Oh, your number came up on the bingo. You get life. And then this next person, oh, you lose, you die. And I'm one of the people that lost the lottery.
Being left behind by the healthcare system to suffer in excruciating pain for years took a toll on Alan. In May 2022, he applied for assisted suicide, otherwise known as the MAID program.
I applied to the MAID program. They sat at this table and said, "You're accepted." And so they did a psychological assessment, and they did an anatomy type of assessment. And they came back and said, "Sorry, Mr. Phillips, we will not kill you because we have the cure for what you have. And as long as we have the cure, why would we kill you?" And I said, "Yeah, but I can't get the cure. The health system won't give me the fusion I need."
What did they say the cure was?
Fusion. She said, "You know, mentally you're okay. Your problem is your anatomy, but we can repair that. Go and get it fixed, but we won't kill you."
Thankfully, Alan is still alive, but he's still living with chronic pain, and our healthcare system has done nothing to help him get better.
Our health system's horrifying. And it's so easy to fix. Right now, as it is, our hospital administrators are rewarded for not treating patients.
What Alan is referring to when he says hospital administrators are rewarded for not treating patients is something called block funding. Each year, governments send large checks to hospitals and then hope that the hospitals help a lot of patients. However, this model does not incentivize hospitals to help a lot of patients. This approach also restricts innovation, as hospitals have less freedom and incentive to change their practices to help patients. Just like in Alan's case, block funding incentivizes hospitals to help less patients. Take a look at what Dr. Day, an accredited surgeon, former president of the Canadian Medical Association, and patients' rights advocate, has to say about block funding.
When you have a state system run as a monopoly, hospitals, and this applies to all hospitals in Canada, are given block funding or global budgets once a year, and that's for the administration, which is excessive, and for treating patients and buying equipment and so on. Therefore, every patient who goes to a public hospital, whether it's emergency or whether it's for a surgery, is using up their annual revenue. So the last thing the chief financial officer of a hospital wants is patients, because they use up the revenue. The BC Appeal Court in our constitutional trial came out and said it is government policy to ration access to healthcare in order to save money.
If you go into your coffee shop and you order a coffee, they work. And then they say, "Here's your product," and you say, "Here's some money." Well, in the healthcare industry, they give them all the money, whether they sell anything or not. So essentially, they could lock the doors and they'd still get the exact same amount of money. So, less people buying coffee, the more money for it. Is that how a coffee shop works? No. You can't keep your customers out in order to make money. But in their healthcare system, it's the other way. You keep them out so you can keep more money for yourself. To you and I, who have a conscience and want the best for our country, that makes no sense to us. But to people who are part of it and are profiting by it, they like this system because the less work for them, but more money for them. Businesses close up when they do that. A business can't function like that. That's the road to ruin. That's how a country fails.
Alternatively, countries with better performing universal access systems like France, Australia, and Scandinavian countries use a funding model called activity-based funding. For example, in France, patients choose the hospital that they think can best help them, and then the government gives money to the hospital based on the services provided to the patient. For example, if a patient needs a knee replacement surgery, the government may pay, say, €7,500 for it. It doesn't matter if a patient chooses to have the procedure done at a government facility, a private facility, or a nonprofit facility, the money follows the patient. This helps incentivize hospitals to help more patients because each time they help a patient, they get more money. Lots of better performing universal healthcare systems in Europe and around the world also use this funding model. Canadian provinces could switch to activity-based funding to incentivize hospitals to help more patients.
Activity-based funding incentivizes work. So the more you do, the more you get paid. That's business. That's not how our healthcare system works. And that's hard for someone outside of the system to comprehend. But once you're in it and you're being affected by it, wow. Opioids for 20 years? You have to change this healthcare system. People are suffering needlessly.